What's up, guys? Tuesday morning, May 13th, Dual Coast Podcast. We are live, and we are actually Dual Coast today.
Oh, we are dual coasting it, baby.
Dual Coast today. Russ back on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. Russ, how you feeling? What's going on?
Dude, when I woke this morning, man, I was like, oh, boy, it's an early rise this morning, man. You know, it's amazing what 30 minutes does. I mean, I went to bed at 10:15.
Sure.
You know, but it's amazing the difference between waking up at 4:45 as opposed to 5:15. 5:15 at 5:15, I feel like, I feel great. But last night, and probably I had a hard workout last night too.
Nice.
So man, I woke up and then my glutes were sore, my hammies were sore. So I was like, all right, that's a good sore.
Oh, for sure, dude. I do
How are
notice
you?
though. Do you notice? Just real quick. Do you notice
Yeah.
you sleep better though after you train? You
Oh,
notice
yeah.
you sleep better? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dude, I was watching the Knicks last night, and then I was watching the Warriors, which turned into a drubbing by Minnesota. But late in the game, dude, I was getting tired at like 9. I'm in the chair, and then pretty soon I wake up and fell asleep for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I was awake for maybe 45 more minutes, and then out.
Oh, for sure, dude. For sure. I noticed like maybe not on the initial portion after training for the first couple of hours, but if you train like 5, 6 o'clock at night, by like 9:30, I'm like pretty much shot.
Yeah.
But I do notice that I sleep much after I train than I would if I didn't train. That's how I feel.
Well, you pulled an all-nighter, man. You were in the hospital all night.
I was in the hospital all night. Yeah, man. I was on call last night. So, I mean, coming off a call shift is a little bit rough to do the podcast, but, we power through.
Yeah,
we're resilient.
We're powering through, baby.
Dual Coast is resilient.
Last week was fun, man. I was in Pittsburgh last week.
Yeah.
That was fun, man.
That was a great time, honestly. Like we recapped a little last week, guys, but we're at the 5K Kids of Steel Marathon. The regular Pittsburgh Marathon was the following day. Me and Russ left actually that morning, but the Kids of Steel Marathon was incredible. Just an incredible event. We threw up some content on the Instagram, guys. Check out the reel. But it was a great time, man. Just to see all the parents supporting their children in that aspect, running it with them, showing support for health, showing support for community, fitness. The Steelers were there. Like, it was a huge event. Magnitude was actually bigger than the previous years. It was a great time, man. Right?
Yes. In fact, just a little promo off of that. We had a mom and 2 sons who ran in the kids marathon.
Yeah.
That next day, she ran her 200th marathon.
I didn't even know this.
Yes, she's going to be on our podcast. Heather Brady.
Heather Brady. Shout out Heather Brady.
Shout out to Heather Brady. She has ran her 200th marathon. She has ran a marathon in 49 of the 50 states.
Really?
Yes.
Did I meet her? Did I?
Oh yeah, you met her. Oh yeah, we interviewed her.
Now, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Probably later in the day.
Gotcha.
But so she took my card. She hit me up. I said, "Hey man, you need to be on our podcast." So in the coming weeks, Heather Brady's going to be joining us on Dual Coast as she has just completed her 200th marathon.
Wow.
And I think she said this coming June, she is going to be running in Alaska, which is her last state to run a marathon.
That must be difficult terrain, I would have to assume, for a marathon.
Well,
I would think.
Yeah. I mean, they probably, it could be in Anchorage, which, could have, a lot of flat, I guess in Pittsburgh, the latter half, what did they call that area? It wasn't Washington. It was something else. Anyway, it's out by
uphill,
University of What's that?
It was the uphill, right?
The uphill. The uphill.
Yeah.
And she said they actually have runners who are stationed there who run you side by side up the hill.
Really?
That's all they do, because it's in the latter half of the marathon.
Maybe we should try to sign up Dual Coast for the running portion of that next year. Maybe do some interviews on the uphill.
We wouldn't be able to breathe.
Yeah, no, for sure. We get 1 or 2 in there. How you feeling?
I know how I'm feeling.
Yeah, exactly. We get 1 or 2 in right there and call it a day.
Yeah, I don't know how high or how long that incline is, but I'm sure if they've got spotted runners, then I'm sure it's a good one. But
sure it's difficult.
Again, it's probably after mile 20 is what I'm guessing.
I would say, probably deep in the race. But even like last week, like I walked the not the actual marathon, of course, not the Sunday marathon, but I walked the kids marathon. I walked the 5K. The course is not that easy. It goes
Yeah.
over the bridges. It goes uphill. It's not that easy. You know, most of the
Yeah.
kids were extremely enthusiastic and everything,
Yes.
but coming out of the gate, running down the straightaway, they made the turn. They got to the bridge and they were all running out of gas, maybe like a quarter mile through, which was, pretty funny to see, honestly.
That
But
is funny.
it was just funny to see everybody coming out of the, right out of the gate hard, and then, kind of burning out a quarter mile through the 1 mile race.
That's so funny.
But yeah, the course is not that easy. I mean, I walked it during the day to just interview everybody, and it wasn't an easy stride for anyone, adult nor child.
Yeah. We're not going to be dual coast striding.
No, definitely not. We do support health and fitness, but
yes,
the best of your abilities.
Yeah, that's right. Best of your abilities.
That's right. That's right.
We all have our thing. We all have our thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. Yeah. What's going on over there in Cali, man? Russ had a big day yesterday, guys. Russ, tell us.
Oh man, if you happen to take a look at my post on Move Today 365, or Dual Coast, promoted it and stuff like that. I had 2 books that I'm launching. Actually launched on Kindle. So if you have the Kindle app, you can order those this week for free, which is epic, right? Just a promotion that Amazon puts on prior to your launch. So shout out to the books right here, man. Unplugged. This thing, it's just a small paperback. It's not a kid's book per se. It's an actual reading book. But all of the reasons why that you need to get outside, yet you need to disconnect from technology. And if you take a look at the photo on the front, all of the family is leaving behind all of their devices and headed to nature. Very and cool. There's just so much to discover outside that we haven't discovered, and that you haven't discovered, that I haven't discovered. You walk out, you look at this book, helps you look at life outdoors differently as to why we need to be out there. And great for families, great for young families where, parents can take their kids out and, discover bugs and discovers the markings on leaves and, different grasses and, just the trees and, the blooms, all of that kind of stuff, and looking at them in more detail of why we need to be outside, connecting outside and getting away from our devices, getting away from computers, getting away from our phones, getting away from scrolling, wasting time, getting more clarity, getting more production, using our minds. And I think, especially with AI, and AI is a great thing, but, you're going to use less of your creativity because of AI. AI is going to do a lot of that thinking for you. I'm not opposed to AI. I'm just saying you've got to use your mind. And I'm telling you, writing a book is using your mind, and exploration is using your mind. And you've got young kids, you've got to use your mind. Parents, teach your kids, pause from technology, get out and unplug, and get outside and explore some more.
Yeah. Yeah. That ties greatly into last weekend, right, Russ, with the Pittsburgh Marathon. The 5K specifically with the Kids of Steel, that's pretty much shows parents taking their kids and taking that initiative, getting them outside, separating from technology, promoting health and fitness, getting outdoors, all right. I think it's very much ties in very well.
Oh yeah. Ties in. Oh yeah. Because
that's this whole idea.
What you and I did at the, with the podcast, and being there at the beginning, being there at the end, interviewing kids, following up, interviewing kids at the school that were a part of the run and everything. I think the school that I was at Fred Aiken, they, with a raise of hands, there was probably about 60 kids that raised their hands that were a part of that marathon. So, it's just, it's amazing. So that's just one entity. That's just one sporting event. That's just one activity that parents and kids can get out and connect with one another. Because the beautiful thing is when we were in the starting line and we were walking through that parking lot, we were meeting families that were running this thing together. Absolutely. Right? Like, how great of a memory is that? That parents and their kids of all ages were out there running a mile together, right? Or, run, walk, whatever it is that they were doing, and it was just, it's inspirational as far as like what I'm doing with Move Today 365, what we teach and what we talk about with health and wellness. I mean, it all comes together.
Yeah. There was minimal kids, I would say, obviously the younger kids had parent support, but even the children who I would say were probably 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, who maybe could have ran it by themselves. Yes, because they're at that age level. The adults still supported them. And their parents still ran with them in that race.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was not one parent that wasn't supporting their child during that whole day in some way, shape, or form.
That's right.
So, I mean, just to see that as far as community coming together and as far as everybody promoting health and fitness as a family, you don't see that every single day, really. You see more the technological side of things, which obviously, Russ, we just talked about with Unplugged, but you see more so families and, on TV, watching TV or watching movies or going to the movies, but you don't see too many families promoting health and fitness in that aspect. You don't see
That's
that too
right.
often.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that something of that magnitude, that many families coming together all in unison doing the same thing. And to be honest, there was not one person there that had a negative attitude. Everybody there had such a positive attitude about the day.
Yeah.
Everybody we interviewed ran up to them. We did a little rapid fire. Maybe some people weren't too happy with that, but whatever. But
That was
regardless,
such a great time.
but regardless, I mean, everybody was promoting fitness. Everybody was excited about promoting fitness. Not one person was there was like, "Oh, I'm dreading this run." Nobody said that. Not one person was dreading it. Not one person was negative connotation about the aspect of fitness in general. Like everybody was there to have a good time, have fun, be with their families, promote health and fitness all day.
Yeah, but I think there was a small underlying thing that was there because the line was so long,
Yeah.
and that was Chick-fil-A at the
Chick-fil-A.
end.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say
Spin
that.
the wheel.
Yep.
And hope that baby lands on the chicken.
That's exactly right. Otherwise, you're getting like a stuffed animal or something, I think it was. Couldn't even eat.
Oh, you get a rubber chicken.
You get a rubber chicken, exactly. So true.
Yeah.
So
That
true.
was that booth was just like 3 over from us, man. The line was long, man. Everybody was like, "Oh, it just took forever to get a piece of chicken, but it was worth it."
I'm
Get a
thinking
little protein.
I'm thinking next year a dual coast Chick-fil-A collab.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, but yeah, that definitely was busy for sure. For sure. I guess it's a well-deserved chicken sandwich after you run a marathon.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a well-deserved
Absolutely.
chicken sandwich.
Oh yeah, the kids loved it.
But yeah, the kids definitely loved it.
Not
But
as much as getting our band, right here, Dual Coast Podcast, baby, right there, baby
go,
blue.
baby. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Hats coming out, guys. Me and Russ both rocking them right now.
Yeah, so it's so funny. So we set up this table, right? We set up our booth and everything. I set out books. We set out all these band stickers and everything.
I know where this is going.
We all left. Dan left. We both had 3 of these hats each. I left 2 of mine back in Cali. I just brought 1 for me. Dan brought, I had all of Dan's hats there. So he left 2 as an example, like just, putting out like, hey, dual coast and everything. We come back. The only thing that we're left with the 3 books, everything on that table was gone, including Dan's hats. Now,
the hats.
I do have one friend named Becky who is a librarian. And I found out through the grapevine that Becky was one of the permanent borrowers of your hat.
That's correct. That's correct.
She didn't steal it. She's just permanently borrowing it.
That's correct. That's correct. Well, I'm glad it went to a good cause for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
She took a picture from like right here up and sent it to us.
She
did. She goes, I don't know who that is. I just took a picture of somebody with the hat on.
It was funny. We did come back to nothing on the table, but that's a good thing. That was the idea. That was the idea. We wanted everybody to get to know who Dual Coast was, get to know what we're about.
Yes.
Move Today 365 was obviously there as well, and we wanted everybody to get to know that as well. Some people actually did know who Russ was automatically, which was interesting, right?
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. One gentleman was like, "This is Russ Rogers," and he was excited.
No idea.
And he was excited.
No idea.
Yeah.
Hey, well, man, in addition to Unplugged,
talk about it.
Imagine If, man.
There it is.
And I got to tell everybody the story real quick is I was on a bike ride and I was in Huntington Beach, October 2023, visiting my son down there, staying at a hotel. And I got up, they had free bike rentals, right? And so, just take a bike and go out, right? So I had this beach cruiser, went out on a Saturday morning. It was 7 a.m. It was foggy outside, much like what it is right now. And so I ride out there and there's these paths that go off. In fact, I'll show you. I've got a picture in it here. This is the picture that I took right here. This is in the book.
There it is.
So right here, Imagine If. And these are rubber mats that go towards the ocean out here. So everything was gray that day. And I took that picture. I go down, I get off my bike, I'm straddling my bike, I'm looking at the ocean, just taking it all in. It's complete quietness out there. The sands have already been drugged by the big machines. surfers in the water, and I'm just enjoying a quiet, peaceful morning. I get back on the bike, I turn back up the black path, and as I go back up there, I'm immediately met by a mother and 3 kids. They all had bags in their hands. Out of curiosity, I rode back past them. I turned around after I got 50, 75 feet away. I looked back, and the mom had these kids out on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. picking up garbage.
Yeah.
Picking up garbage.
Yeah.
Okay. Now think about this. Could have been watching cartoons. Could have been eating breakfast. Could have been sleeping in. Could have been just lounging around the house with mom and dad. Could have been just, watching cartoons. Whatever it could have been on a Saturday morning, right? Having a sleepover with a friend or whatever, right?
Sure.
Those kids and that mother was out there picking up garbage, okay, at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. I immediately thought these 2 words: imagine if. Imagine if parents showed and exemplified to their kids what it was to do community service. That's just one way of doing it.
Yeah.
And so I got back to the hotel sometime later. I got out the little notepad that they have, that they leave on their little desks. And I just wrote the words, imagine if. And I just began to think about it, and it materialized. And then I shared with my publisher about this idea, and basically came up with 100 statements.
Yeah. I was going to say, Russ, show us what those pages look. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Imagine if every day you sat in silence for a few minutes. Imagine if every day you did that. So every page starts with imagine if every day. Imagine if every day you prayed. Imagine if every day you met someone new.
Yeah.
Okay. Like an elevator, how many times do we ignore the people that are in an elevator? That's an opportunity on a quick ride to just say, hey, how you doing today? What are you up to? Where are you from? Those kinds of things,
Yeah.
Imagine if every day you learn something new. So there's 100 statements in here to get you to think about yourself. Do I learn something new every single day? Whether I'm reading a book, listening to music, talking to somebody new, whatever it may be, listening to a podcast, talking to a friend, whatever it is, learning something new every day. So imagine if you did this every day. Now, the cool thing is, and I went to a dinner down in Vegas, and a guy that I met down there says, you need to have at the end of the book a page for notes. Well, the thing about it is, if you notice, the pages are black.
Yeah.
So everybody would have to have a white pen. Well, who owns a white pen? Nobody's going to go buy a white pen just to write notes. So
Correct.
what we did is we put these sticky notes, they're a part of the page, right?
Cool.
They're not actually just hanging there. They're actually a part of the page. And it's a place that you can journal. It's a place that you can leave notes of inspirations from the book, right?
Interesting.
And here is another cool thing. I met another guy in Vegas, and he said, at the end of the book, put a QR code to lead people to your website to get them to vlog, right? So at the back of the book, there is a QR code of which you can scan. And it basically says this: we invite you to share your personal story, whether it's a reflection, a challenge that you overcame, a moment of awareness and inspiration, something you learned, or an act of kindness you completed, and how it made you feel, right? So it takes you to a designated page on my website at movetoday365.com, and then you can leave your journal item on there. It is so cool. And the whole idea of Imagine If is imagining yourself becoming better. Imagine in 100 different ways. Imagine yourself. And then not only are you changing, but hopefully the world around you will change as well. So Imagine If. Both of these are right now this week free on Kindle. You can go on there and get your copies right now. And then these books are live, hit the market May 18th, which is the day of our event.
Yes.
So Unplugged and Imagine If.
Yep. Russ, I was thinking about this last night, actually, with your book, Imagine If. From a dual coast perspective, let's say, your book pretty much has to do with different scenarios that maybe take you out of your comfort zone a little bit every single day.
Yes.
Where if you learn something new, or you speak to somebody different, or you maybe complete a task you've never completed before, it kind of deals with that whole aspect that we always say about getting uncomfortable a little bit.
Yeah.
So
exactly,
making you a little bit better every single day and making that progress from a dual coast perspective is what I'm saying here.
Yes.
We always kind of preach about how you take that first step, how you take that first initiative, how you make yourself better a little bit. Books like that and books like Imagine If, guys, make it kind of a guide almost for you
Yeah.
in a way, for lack of better words, that
Sure.
if you were to see each page, maybe you could complete that task on a daily basis and say, imagine if I did this, imagine if I did that, making you better, getting you out of your comfort zone, allowing you to progress in life. You know,
Yes.
right, Russ? You agree with that? And
100%. I
that's
do. I
very
do.
much what we preach, kind of about getting out of your comfort zone, putting yourself in the room, as I always say, and Russ always loves that statement.
I do.
Yeah, putting yourself in the room. So that has to do with kind of putting yourself in the room and making yourself better every single day is the same idea as imagine if. And from a child perspective, but even an adult perspective too, you can make your own imagine if. You know, Russ has it written down and everything like that, but maybe you sit here today and you listen to our podcast, you say, imagine if I did that. Imagine if I read that book. Imagine if I read Russ's book. What if I read, something else? What if I went out and spoke with that person? What if I joined that group? You know, and then every single day you could kind of make your own imagine if, and you could
Yeah.
say, listen, let me get outside. Let me do this today. Imagine if I did that today and I made myself better every single day, making progress, making progress, making progress. So Russ's book, guys, yes, it's built for a certain aspect and it's built, for certain age categories and stuff like that, but you could create your own imagine if.
100%.
You
Yes.
agree?
I agree. Those are great words, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. But
absolutely.
it's so true, right? And when Dan says, put yourself in the room, you don't actually have to physically be in a room,
Sure.
right? You can just be outdoors. You could be walking somewhere. You could be like, a wharf that's right out there hanging out, meeting somebody,
Yeah.
somebody walking in front of your house. You're hanging in front of your yard instead of your backyard. Just doing something a little bit different, saying hello at the grocery store, right? I
Yeah.
mean, at the park. There's just so
Yeah.
many places that you can talk to people. And I know a lot of times there's times that we feel like we don't want to talk to somebody, and that's okay.
Sure.
But grow a little bit is what I'm saying. Challenge
Absolutely.
yourself to grow a little bit in some capacity. So when you read these statements, the idea is to not quickly read through the book. I mean, you can, but then go back and marinate on something for a day, a two, a week, whatever it may be, and think about all the different possibilities of what you can do and how
For
you can
sure.
get better, right?
For sure. For
And
sure.
I just think, I think both of these books are great for this time. I think both of these books are made for people to think, especially, unplugged is vitally important in our world today as we think about unplugging from devices, because we make these personal choices to consume ourselves with, we're on the computer because a lot of people work on the computer, right? But then in addition to that time, we're scrolling and we're wasting time and we're not doing things that are creatively thinking about what we could be doing, or going and taking a walk or exercising or whatever it is that's has nothing to do with technology,
Correct.
you
Correct.
know?
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's all about, making yourself better every single day. Like Russ just said, guys, imagine if you did this, imagine if you did that. It's about making that progress and taking each step and just progressing in life, whether it be in whatever it be, health and fitness, or, whatever you want to get better at. You could use a guide like that and just create your own imagine if every day. You could even write it on a board. That's what I always do. I try to journal a little bit more, even as we do this podcast, I try to journal a little bit more about podcast topics and what we could talk about.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to use imagine if we did this, for a podcast, and you can use it for goal setting. Imagine if we did this for the podcast, Russ, and we through another event like that's coming up this Sunday, Russ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Well, the cool thing is, and I'll end with this before we jump in that, is
Yeah.
somebody had said to me the other day, that is really cool. I think I'm going to ruin the book and cut out these pages and put them all over my wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
That's cool. That's cool.
That would be
That's
cool,
cool.
right?
That's
I
cool.
might even throw that up on my wall a little bit.
That's
So
cool. Yeah.
if the book that you buy has some pages missing, it's not my fault.
True. Visual perspective, I believe, is key, though. I believe that is key. Visual
Yeah.
perspective.
I mean,
Because
imagine this. Imagine if this is on your wall. Imagine if
yeah,
every day you told yourself today is always the best day,
exactly.
right? If you told
Exactly.
yourself and you had that up on your wall, right?
100%.
Black and white. The
Yep.
idea was that morning was spurred on by the grayness of that morning, and the photo that I showed at the beginning of this podcast is
Yeah.
like that image. And I knew at that time black and white is what I want
Yeah.
because it reflected that morning, right?
Yeah. 100%.
And here it is, and I'm just amazed that
Yeah.
I've got it in my possession.
Looks
It's
great,
a
man.
great book on your desk. Thank you. It's a great book on your desk, your coffee table. You're just sitting out, and you just imagine if you pop it open, You
Yeah.
read one thought, today you thought outside the box,
Yeah. For sure. For
So
sure.
yeah, but leading right into this weekend, man. What are you
Talk to
doing
us,
this
man.
weekend? What are you
Oh
doing?
yeah, I got this thing coming up this weekend. So guys, this weekend, yes, me and Russ were in Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. We did the Kids of Steel 5K marathon, but this weekend is a different type of event. We have the Impact Santa Cruz event. I'm going to be in California. We are going to be One Coast on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to have a Dual Coast podcast. Russ, what time is Dual Coast going to be that day, roughly? Probably about 11-ish, I would say.
11, yeah, at 11.
11-ish, I would say. So, guys, we're going to be live from the Impact Santa Cruz event. A multitude of speakers are going to be there. A couple of people we've had on the show already. Aaron Wexler is going to be speaking, who's going to be there, guys. Karina Reed, who we're going to be interviewing. Colette Brown's going to be there. It's going to be a great time. Russ, I'll let you elaborate a little bit on what's going on.
Yeah, it's so cool. Aaron Wexler was with us a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
What a great guest he was. He's going to be speaking. I think he said I think he's going to be bringing his guitar because he's a musician.
I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, so he might be giving us a little 2 to 3 minute rendition of one of his
Sweet.
latest songs. So that's really cool. Karina Reed, who you mentioned, she is a local 7-time straight personal trainer of the year
Let's go.
here in Santa Cruz. She I'm telling you, her story is going to move us. And we're going to dive into some questions immediately because we've just got a short time with her.
Yeah.
But Karina is she's a bulldog, man, and she has overcome a lot in her life, and she's going to be an inspiration to a lot of people.
Sure.
So Jillian Rydell, my publisher, Indiana Rivera, Rosie Ballard is going to be there.
Yes.
She's from Visalia, personal trainer. She's been a TEDx speaker.
Yes.
Jillian Rydell, she is works the ER on a helicopter in Sacramento.
Yes.
I mean, I saw a picture the other day that I'm gonna post. She's in flight. She's got the whole helmet gear. And she's got this smile, and it's just like this is the people that we have that are coming. Colette Brown, who started her own granola company, a very healthy granola, which I know that she is going to have. That's present there. That she's going to have as
Awesome
giveaways to everybody to walk away with her granola. I mean, there's so much that is going to be there. Of course, Dan's going to be there. I'm going to be there. And so if you're in and around Santa Cruz, I hope that you will come. You can buy your ticket at Eventbrite, movetoday365.com. Also, you can get the tickets that take you to Eventbrite if you forget that. Or you can buy your tickets at the door. And it's at the Santa Cruz Art and History Museum. Get there at 8:30 a.m. It goes till 12. Stick around, talk with the vendors that are there. I know my publisher is bringing a bunch of books of all of the books of people that she's published, and other authors. There's going to be fitness people there that have apparel. I mean, it's going to be a great event. So this Sunday, May 18th, get there at 8:30, and we'll be done and out of there around 12:30, 1 o'clock, or whenever you want to leave.
Let's go.
Yeah. So all about health and wellness, and with a bunch of speakers. So it's just boom, boom, boom. I mean, just a little over 3 hours of impact.
That's it, man. That's
Yeah.
Going to be a great event, guys. May 18th, this Sunday. Check us out. Obviously, Dual Coast Podcast on Instagram, all social media handles, Facebook, TikTok. We're on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Guys, check us out. We'll see you next week. We're actually going to see you live on Sunday morning.
Yes.
So live Sunday morning, guys. Check us out. We'll be live about 11 a.m. or roughly Pacific Standard Time. Dual Coast, baby.
And wellness is not what?
Wellness is not about perfection, but it's about progress.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
And just like that kid said in Pittsburgh, what do you think of this statement? We asked him this question. What do you think? What do you think about this statement? Wellness is not perfection, but progress. Yes.
Yes.
Good answer.
With that, guys, you take that yes away.
Have a great day, everybody.
Guys, take care.